This video is brought to you by Moft. In this video, I'm going to share my thoughts after using the iPhone 14 Pro Max for 1 year, talk about what I liked less, see how it compares to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and ultimately discuss whether the 14 Pro Max is worth buying in 2024. Coming from the iPhone 13, the 14 Pro Max was actually my first Pro Max size phone, so this was a big change, no pun intended. Now the 14 Pro Max really fits the part of a high-end flagship. I love the frosted matte glass on the back. This does an excellent job at resisting fingerprints, and then it really well contrasts with the nice polished stainless steel frame going around the edges, really adding a touch of shine to this great design. The design is also durable. My 14 Pro Max has held up really well despite a few unfortunate drops. I would say the frame has only very minor marks that are pretty much impossible to see, especially from a normal viewing distance. The back is pretty much perfect, and the same can be said for the front glass. So I should clarify that I did use a tempered glass screen protector for most of my time with the 14 Pro Max, and something I definitely recommend you do too. Okay, so the design looks good and it's durable, but what is it like to use? Well, the larger Pro Max size comes with many benefits, which I'll get into, but there is one sacrifice that you make, and that has to do with portability. The 14 Pro Max weighs 240 grams, which is 33% heavier than the regular iPhone 14. And while on one hand, this dense design does give a sense of quality in the hand, on the other hand, this is not a light phone. In fact, it is one of the heaviest non-folding phones out on the market today. And then to add to that, the angular design, while I do think this looks great, does mean that the phone can dig into the palm of your hands during sessions of longer use. Now, to be fair, after a while, I did get used to the weight and feel of the 14 Pro Max. However, it was not until recently when I switched to my new iPhone 15 Pro Max that these issues came back to light. Now, the 15 Pro Max is not only lighter, it also has a slightly rounded frame, and this makes the phone much more comfortable to hold and use. This difference is hard to capture on camera, but if you go out and hold these two phones side by side, you'll feel a big difference. All things considered, I'm happy with the design of the 14 Pro Max. It looks premium, has held up very well, but it's just not the most comfortable. Now, I wouldn't consider this to be a deal breaker, but it's still important enough for me to mention here. Now, onto what drew me to the 14 Pro Max in the first place, and that is the larger display. The 14 Pro Max features a 6.7-inch OLED display combined with Apple's excellent color calibration, up to 2000 nits of peak brightness and 120 Hz refresh rate. This display is excellent and is in fact one of this phone's biggest assets. Now, as someone who runs their own company, I do a lot on my phone, and having this larger screen real estate means I get to see more of everything I do, whether it be events in a calendar, lines in an email, roads on a map. Even the larger keyboard translates to faster typing, and all of this ultimately results in me getting more done in less time on this phone. Not to mention, this larger display is just more comfortable to use and helps take away from those sharp edges, kind of. The 14 Pro Max also has the dynamic island, which I like to use to switch between apps, view the status of a timer or say a delivery, and also has Face ID, which remains to be the best and most reliable face unlock in any phone. I do just wish it worked at more distances, but this is a relatively minor gripe. Coming from the 6.1-inch iPhone 13, going to the 6.7-inch iPhone 14 was an absolute game changer. And for me, the extra screen real estate that the 14 Pro Max brings is more than worth the extra cost and the sacrifice in portability. And if you are thinking of getting your first Pro Max phone, this is a great opportunity to do so. And if you do pick up the 14 Pro Max, then be sure to pair it with this functional Movaz case from Moft. This case is available for both the iPhone 14s and the iPhone 15s and comes in a wide range of colors. The Movaz vegan leather material is not only durable, it actually outperforms genuine leather both in stretch as well as abrasion resistance, meaning your case will look new for longer. The Movaz case also pairs perfectly with Moft's other accessories, for example, the stand power set. Now, this consists of two parts. You get both a wallet and stand, as well as a battery pack, and is also fully modular, so you can customize your setup depending on your day. For example, I use the Snap Stand wallet most. It holds up to 3 cards, and when you use it, it also doubles as a grip. But my favorite feature is that it can also work as a stand, both in portrait modes, and this is great to see notifications while you're working at your desk. But then you can also rotate your phone to set it up in landscape mode, and this is perfect for watching videos while on the go. Speaking of on the go, this is where the Snap battery pack comes in. Now, this is ideal because all you have to do is simply place it on your iPhone to start charging wirelessly, no cables, and this means you can charge your phone while using it in your hand or say while having it in your pocket, thanks to having this super slim design. Together, these accessories from Moft add not only protection, but also functionality to your iPhone. And to learn more, be sure to head to the links in the description and use code Dion10 for 10% off your order. When I originally reviewed the 14 Pro Max, I said it had the best all-around camera system of any smartphone at the time, and this is with good reason. It packs a triple lens camera system consisting of a 48 megapixel main sensor for 1 and 2x focal length, as well as a 0.5x ultra-wide lens and a 3x telephoto lens. Over the past year, I've taken thousands of photos, and what I find is with iPhone cameras, particularly that of the 14 Pro Max, you get consistent, strong results, no matter the scene. Photos are lively yet natural. Without overdoing the colors, you get high dynamic range, and this means even bright and darker parts of the image are clear, and the large 48 megapixel sensor is super sharp and retains detail even when zoomed in. Speaking of zoomed in, the 2x focal length is great to have. I actually use it more than the 3x telephoto since the 2x is even better when it comes to retaining finer details. I love using this focal length for portraits, and some of these photos almost look like they were taken on a professional camera. To add to that, I often use 4K 60 FPS footage shot on my 14 Pro Max in my YouTube videos. Video is steady, focus is reliable, and adjustments to lighting are smooth. When outdoors, I prefer filming on my iPhone since it attracts a lot less attention than my Sony cameras. While the newer 15 Pro Max takes the camera even further with even better image quality and of course that 5x telephoto, in reality the 14 Pro Max gives 80% of the camera quality at a lower cost and overall gives a camera system that still competes with the best. But what has the battery life been like? Well, here too, the larger size of the Pro Max form factor has an advantage. Now, I would describe myself as someone who uses their phone too often, and for me, the 14 Pro Max lasts all day, even 1.5 days, and I would say this translates to roughly 8 to 9 hours of screen on time. I love this because this essentially means that throughout the day, I never have to worry about my battery life. I know that the 14 Pro Max will consistently last me all day and has done so since day one and still does so today. In terms of battery health, my 14 Pro Max after 1 year shows 90%, which is actually lower compared to my 14 Pro. Now I have done an in-depth comparison video in which I compare different chargers and charge methods to ultimately find the best way to preserve your battery health. And I'll be sure to leave that video linked at the end of this video. The 14 Pro Max also has MagSafe. This is great for easy wireless charging or adding accessories like say wallets or stands. And if you are coming from say an iPhone 11 or older, MagSafe will be a nice feature to have. Additionally, I also found that the battery life on the 14 Pro Max is very similar compared to the newer 15 Pro Max. You're not really missing anything here. However, it is worth noting that the newer 15 Pro Max does use the more universal USB-C port versus Apple's Lightning port on the 14 Pro Max. Much like the battery, performance on the 14 Pro Max has held up really well. The phone is snappy, fast, and speedy. Can't think of any more words than that. No, but in all seriousness, you get flagship performance. Opening and switching between apps is seamless. Photo editing and even gaming are all a breeze. I would also expect the 14 Pro Max to get another 5 years of software support and updates, meaning that this phone will last for a long time. So is it worth buying the 14 Pro Max today in 2024? Well, let's talk about price. Now, price will vary depending on your region, but I found the 14 Pro Max new for around $900 to $1,000, and this is a significant $200 to $300 saving compared to the newer 15 Pro Max. And this means that for many, the 14 Pro Max is a good opportunity to save some cash and still get a very impressive phone. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, I will leave the purchase links down in the description, and if you'd like to learn how to best charge your phone, be sure to click the video linked on screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.